Hey guys, how are you today? I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm sure you're noticing every time I come to create with you that my creative space here just gets a little bit dirtier and dirtier. But, you know, whatever. That's just the way my life is. Alright, so for the project today, I recommend either finding some colored pencils or some watercolors because we're going to do a little bit of coloring. Alright, so I had a request for some dog cards, and yes, for those people wondering, I do take requests. I want people to, you know, feel inspired, and if there's like a card you're needing, and you're like, I would love an idea. I obviously, like, I can't, like, guarantee we'll be able to do something, but it's a nice way to kind of, you know, it gives me a good jumping off point. So check out how cute this card is. Oh my gosh. It says hello. I love it with a little wiener dog. So for this card, we're going to use some of these pieces. And we're going to use this guy. Okay. I'll take these pieces away for the next card. So the very first thing we're going to do, obviously, is we're going to color the little dog. So, of course, you could leave him as is, but he's considerably more fun colored. So I recommend using watercolors because it's just way more fun that way. But you can, of course, use markers. Markers tend to be kind of intense. So if you're going to use markers, use like a light brown and a dark brown, for example. So you can do a light brown and then do a little bit dark brown around its ear and around its feet, you know, and around its tail. Or for colored pencils, the same thing, two or three different colors. Start with your lightest colored pencils, and then go back in with your darker colors in the feet, in the tail, and in the ear, around the nose, and then the darkest, like in the shadows, where the shadows might be like underneath the armpit and underneath the ear, behind the tail, and behind the feet. So I'm just going to show you how to do this real fast. I'm just going to go ahead and lay down some brown. I don't really like that color brown. It's a little dark for me. Let me go with a little bit lighter color here. I'm using a water brush. A water brush here has a paintbrush that has water already in it, so I don't have to dip into water every time. Okay. My little wiener dog going on. Alright. So we're just going to paint this here. Going to his little feet. I'm going to go around here. Oh, my painting isn't perfect, but that's okay. And then I'm just going to go around the hello. I'm not going to paint the hello. I'm just going to go on either side of it. If you would like to paint the hello, you can. Of course, you know, if you're going to do it, just do it like right where the body of the wiener dog might be. You know, like just like straight across here. You don't need to go like up above because then it will look like he's like a really, well, kind of chunky dog, to be perfectly honest. Okay. Oh, I went outside the lines. How could I? I'm not going to make that as obvious. There we go. Okay, wonderful. So we've got a little colored little dog there. Isn't that cute? All right, now just to make it kind of fun and just to kind of give it just a something else, a little something, I'm going to take a little bit of that watercolor that I just did. I'm going to make a little puddle of water. If you have a marker that you're using, you can color a little bit of marker like onto like a non-porous surface, like a piece of plastic, or in this case it's a silicone mat, or an old CD would work. And then add a little bit of water so that it creates like a watercolor, and then you can, with your paintbrush, you can kind of do like a splatter kind of effect. And so I'm going to do a splatter. So to do a splatter, you just get like kind of a nice puddle going on, and then right above your paper here, you're going to kind of tap it. If you're getting really big splotches, I'm sorry, you're going to want to do that again so you get a couple other big splotches so it's not a big mistake. But if you have a bunch of little splotches, you're going to want to get a little bit more water on your brush so you get some larger splotches there. So I will say that if you've made a mistake, my helpful tip for you, sorry, I'm looking for the paper towel over here. My tip for you is that if you make a mistake, do it in, it's that same thing in another area on the card so that it looks like you've done it all on purpose. Okay, that's my tip and trick for you. That way you're like, see, it's part of the technique rather than like, oh man, look at the mistake. All right. So once you've created that, oh, and look, I just smeared that. So this is an opportunity to fix it. you know what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to take a moment with my little brown here, and I'm actually going to draw some little hearts in my little splatter. So that way it kind of looks like I did it on purpose. So I'm just using my paintbrush here to make some little hearts. You can use your markers to do this, or you can use your colored pencils and draw little hearts in here. And that way it looks like I've done it on purpose. And you know what's kind of cool about this is if you do them if you can get tiny little ones in here and you've done the splatter effect, it kind of looks like it's part of the splatter, which is even cuter, which I really like. It's like little splattered hearts, especially if your little dots are also kind of large like the hearts. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to mix some larger little dots that are not heart shaped, so it looks like I have kind of a combination of hearts and not hearts. Okay. All right, so this is what we've ended up with. That is pretty cute, huh? I think that turned out pretty fun. All right. So now I didn't want this card to just be plain brown, like brown and brown and brown. I tend to get kind of caught in these like loops of like, I'm like all in this like same kind of color palette, and I'm like, wow, I look back and I'm like, wow, I've done a lot of like the same colors over and over and over. And so I get kind of caught in that. And so I really wanted to kind of pull out of that just a little bit, and pull in a vibrant, weird color, and that color today is going to be green. We're going to pull in green here. Not very much. I'm just going to layer it, so there's just a small little bit. But before I do that, what you're going to want to do is grab a ruler and a pencil. Oh, I don't have a pencil available to me at the moment. Seriously? Oh, here I do. Great. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually on my white piece of paper before I lay down the green is I'm going to be taking this kind of fun iridescent twine here, and I'm going to be wrapping it around, just around the outside, kind of creating like a little border around 1/4 of an inch around the outside. So I'm going to create these kind of little tack marks on the outside, about 1/4 of an inch on either side. And just these little marks here are what I'm going to be cutting with my scissors. Okay, so you see what I did there? So I have a little right there, and right there, and right there, and right there, okay? And then I'm going to lay this on, again, about 1/4 of an inch in. I'm just going to lay on these little tack marks again, okay? We're not going to be cutting all the way in, all right? I'm just going to tell you that right now. I'm just laying these down just to give like tiny little slice marks, to kind of give us a little guide of where we're going to be cutting just a tiny little bit, okay? Top and bottom there. And when I talk a tiny little bit, I'm talking 1/8 of an inch. All right, so just a little bit. All right, just 1/8 of an inch on that little mark there. Well, then once you've cut in, you're going to take your eraser and you're going to erase that. So that's why I really recommend using a pencil, not a pen. If it doesn't erase all the way, it doesn't really matter because we're going to be going over it with our ribbon. Okay. All right. So I've given you 2 different thicknesses. I'm going to see if I can do 2 thicknesses at the same time. We'll see. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your little piece of ribbon here, your 2 little pieces or your 1 little single piece, and you're just going to tuck it into that little slice that we just did. Okay, you're going to tuck it into that, and you're going to kind of pull it around to the other side. If you have some double-sided tape, you can stick some double-sided tape down so this sticks to that. I'm going to have to do just my twine only. And then I'm going to do my thicker. Let's see if I can get them both in there. Okay, so then once you have those in there, you're going to pull that across, and then you're going to tuck that into the other side. Again, that little slice there. Okay, and you're just going to kind of tuck that in. Okay, so just like this. All right, So it's tucking in on both sides, and then we're going to trim that off so that it's only staying in there by literally sticking into the little slices that we did just a few moments ago. Okay, so that's kind of a really easy way to get ribbon to kind of hold in place, is literally to just make slices and then just tuck twine in. Some ribbons are not going to work, and you'll find that as you're experimenting and playing around with that kind of idea and that concept. Okay. And then we're going to do that now going the other way as well. Okay. Pretty fun, huh? It's kind of iridescent. I thought that was kind of cute. Alright, and we're going to pull this across to the other side. And hopefully our slices are not going to break here or rip. That would be so sad, all my hard work. Okay. See here. My little twine pieces should be staying in place. I need double-sided tape. That's really the solution here, because otherwise nothing is going to stay in place. So I'm going to put double-sided tape all along the edge here, and that's going to help keep my little pieces from slipping once I've stuck them down. Because I'm trying to stick 2 layers of twine in here, so this is why I'm kind of pushing the limit on what this can do. Alright. There we go. Much better. If you don't have double-sided tape, you're going to have to use glue and just hold your twine in place. Much better. I always like it when things work out. Okay. And I know I had a little piece of my twine. Where did that go from earlier? Okay. Alright, and then we're going to go across here. Oh, that's right. I was trying to figure out where my secondary piece of twine went, because I hadn't cut it. Whoops. And then we're going to put this across and tuck it in here. All right. Wonderful. Okay, and then we're going to do my top. Now that I have double-sided tape, this will go much faster. Yeah, you learn things when you're doing this. We're going to stick it on the back, and then we're going to pull this over. Okay, so this is what we've ended up with. All right. So we have the kind of framing it out, and we have the cute little hello with the little dog in the center. Very fun. So the iridescent twine is kind of like this white green kind of color, and so as we lay this down on our card base, we're going to get about 1/16 of an inch border on all four sides. So we're going to stick that down. I'm just rolling off my double-sided tape there. I'm going to use a little bit of my glue just to make sure all my little corners are in place. Okay. And corner here. All right, and then once you have that down, then you're going to go ahead and glue that onto the front of your card. And there we have the first card. And I love that the green, it just adds a little bit more fun to the card and just doesn't make it so brown and kind of blah. So that's why I wanted to do that cute little card. Oh, that was so fun. Isn't that sweet? I thought that was pretty cute. All right, so that's card number 1. On to the next one.